Cruiserweight match here at King of the Ring now. So it hopefully should be a good little match, I would imagine. Of course, we've already seen a lot of stuff go on with the light heavyweight title in the last couple as well, haven't we, Matt? So become accustomed.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So,
This for sure, though, would be, I would imagine, a little bit more. I mean, this was a time where they were trying to get the cruiserweight title a little, have its own little division, but there wasn't a ton of guys at this point that were working in this division.
was this when the title was strictly SmackDown?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I didn't mind that so much. That was one of the good things that SmackDown had going for it at the time, was the division of cruiserweights. And like you said, yeah, it didn't have a lot of them in it, but
Eventually,
it was still good to see
eventually
that
they
kind
would.
of.
Yeah, I mean,
What was that?
I said eventually they would. I mean, they'd had Billy Kidman, and obviously Matt Hardy had a run as well. You'll remember, where he apparently cut weight to win it and all the rest of it, and he'd have feuds with Rey Mysterio, and of course everything sort of really changed. And then they sort of Ultimo Dragon come in, and there was a hell of a there was such a big roster that I think at WrestleMania 20 they had about 10 of them in the ring at once.
That was one of Matt Hardy's more enjoyable runs for me. I mean, other than what he's doing now, of course. Yeah. But when you had that Mattitude following, that was a good little story.
Yeah. The whole uploading business onto his entrance. Yeah. So
and his
Shannon Moore.
His fans are little MFers.
Yeah, it just goes to show Matt can be creative.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good mind for the business, actually, and, I see him being in this for a long time. I mean, even once he's retired from wrestling, like, in the ring, he's got such a good mind for it that he should definitely continue work outside of it, trying to make it better. It's probably better than some of WWE's creative writers.
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely be putting him in that role, that's for sure. Asking for anything at the moment, anything different. And certainly has done that, that's for sure. What are you making of the match so far, Matt?
It hasn't wowed me like I would expect from the cruiserweights. There hasn't been too much unexpected or high flying or anything like this. I'm just kind of still sitting here waiting for it to really take off.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I think in the beginning, early stages, what Vince and probably everyone else tried to do was this is just a typical WWE match, but what eventually happened, I would say more so towards the end of 2002 at least, going into 2003, was they sort of made it their own, and they kind of made their matches a lot different to everything else that was going on. And that was, like Matt said, one of the great things about tuning into SmackDown over Raw, because you knew you were going to get these fast-paced kind of matches going on. And I will say one thing, they definitely had it right here to what they're probably doing today with this whole changing the ropes business and all that lot. It's that does not matter at all. It's not how so much you're presenting it on a production level. It's more about the style in the ring and having some characters, because I think at least at this point, Matt, we knew pretty much all the kind of cruiserweights that were involved here, and would know them when they eventually came in, and they didn't look just like wrestler A and wrestler B, wrestler C, and vice versa.
Yeah, and it's good to have it that way, because these guys in the ring here, there's no real limitations put on them. They're not saying, "No, you're not allowed to be as good as the next wrestler," because they can have this match, and then the next week they could be in a completely different scenario. I remember the Hurricane even had a match against Triple H at one point, and it was a handicap match with him and Rosie versus Triple H, and they lost, but still they've had that match, they can say.
Jamie Noble, people often talk about him and they say, was he any good? And I would say yes, he was, because I believe, Matt, he was in Ring of Honor for a while. which people probably forget or don't know. And he was like one of their top guys for a long time as well. But unfortunately for him, I do remember him having a lot of problems with his ears. They caused him all sorts of problems. And I know he had loads of like surgeries done and all sorts, but that was one of his biggest problems. And I believe he worked a lot through a lot of pain in the ring, probably around this sort of time, in fact. So, but yeah, he was a good, for me, he was a good solid cruiserweight. I mean, if he was around today, he would definitely stand out above head and shoulders with Kendrick, really.
Yeah, he is a great talent, and you don't really get access to all the companies like he was in WCW, WWE, Ring of Honor. You don't get into all of them like without talent. So guaranteed he had that, but also he had the ability to just take a gimmick that he's given, like this, the Hurricane. I mean, a lot of people would look at that gimmick in fear and think, how am I going to pull this off?
Yeah.
But then, much like Cody Rhodes, he made it his own and he gave everything into it, and actually got the backing of a lot of fans in the end. So it's definitely a feat to actually take a kind of crappy gimmick and turn it into something good.
Yeah. Nice move there. That was it. Like I say, the Hurricane, he would have been with the Alliance as well, and probably him and RVD were the ones, Matt, that were getting cheered, weren't they? So it was always inevitable that they were going to be baby faces.
Yeah, it's kind of not the angle they wanted, though, was it? They didn't want to get too many cheers.
No. Like I say, with the cruiserweight title at this time, like it was exclusive just to SmackDown, which was a real cool thing. And I wish, I wish it was still on SmackDown now, since the brand split again, but it isn't. But more than anything, the other thing I like about this sort of era of cruiserweights, a little bit of a balls up just there, by the way. But yeah, one of the other things I do like about the cruiserweight title in this sort of era is just the fact that it didn't. I mean, here when you look at these guys, like I say, they're not making a big deal that this is something like that you've got to look at completely different, and you've got to like almost shut yourself. Like nowadays, Matt. I mean, by having those purple ropes and all the rest of it, and the lighting changing, it's almost telling the crowd, go and get a drink now. Go and buy a program now. Go to the toilet now. During a pay-per-view, or if you're watching it on pay-per-view, it's even worse. Which is just a bit of a shame, really, because that's the way they kind of deal with it. But
yes, it's kind of one of the things that really, like, of this year, when we look back on it, it'll be one of the things that really sort of gets to us, grinds our gears. Like, why did they have to do this to the cruiserweight division? And you shouldn't rest on nostalgia, but this really just feels like a no-brainer that it should be on SmackDown, because it's just where the home of it feels like it should be. And yeah, they got the extra hour on Raw, and they've got to fit it with something, but we've been through this before, haven't we? We just wish the women's division and the cruiserweight division was a brand exclusive on each show. There's so many problems. Cool, that was a nasty fall.
It certainly was. You wouldn't want to take that again in a rush, would you? Hurricane at the top. I'm going to go with that. Whoa. So as this match has got this much time, I mean, nowadays this would be well and truly over in a cruiserweight match.
I wonder what really happened to that Nadia then. I wonder where she ended up in the end. Because this was the only real stint I remembered of her.
I don't remember her hanging around too much longer after this, to be fair.
No. Do you think that's just an inherent problem with the Tough Enough system that, yeah, you can take a general member of the public with some good athletic skills, but to really have a longevity in the business, you've got to have a real passion for it.
I think that's well. I mean, I don't know that she didn't, but it's just the thing with the Tough Enough guys is like, how serious could you take somebody that's just come off and you've just trained for a while, and then you've got to try and it kind of like it made a little bit of a mockery of the current roster a little bit when you saw like someone like Maven, who was the first guy who I really liked him, but then it's like it's difficult to sort of think this guy can beat the guys that have been on there for so long,
Yeah.
That was one of the things for me. Matt, let me know when you've come to the end of this, because I had a little bit of a connection issue, and it's just come back on, so hoping that we're going to get at the right spot.
I've just seen the Hurricane. He's hit him with a choke slam, and he got some height on him.
Yeah, he did.
And oh no, he kicked out. I thought that was surely going to be the end there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, going back to the Tough Enough stuff, like, literally, that has probably been a huge failure, hasn't it? Really, even when they tried to bring it back with Austin, it's just not. It's just not done anything, has it? Really?
No, I mean, it's all well and good, like picking these people out of the crowd and like random people, from like sending their submissions and everything, but it's never going to be the same as actually someone putting in the work for years and years, and you've got all this footage to look back on, and you can tell just what they're capable of, and it will never be the same as having a ready-made star. It's so much harder to try and forge one in the image that you want.
Yeah, certainly no Ultimate Fighter. What the UFC can get out of it. I think
the match has ended, and it is Jamie Noble, so he's the winner.
Yeah, well, there you go. The new cruiserweight champion. I do remember him. I do remember his run, and he did have quite a while with that belt. So there's no little fluke going on there. Yeah, he was. I mean, he played that character well as well, and he did, like, he was like the classic little man, kind of always wanting to take on the big guys all the time. That kick to the face looked quite harsh. The outside there.
Oh, I see. The Rock is in the building on heat. Heat.
Going back to our joyous heat. Can't beat that, can you? People will also will remember that before I had some emails that they were asking about what this whole free-for-all business was on some of our earlier King of the Rings, but the free-for-all was the sort of version of the pre-show that we get now, and basically it was free-for-all because you got it free before it was pay-per-view, and it was your last chance to order the pay-per-view, so you get like one match for free, and that was what that meant. I think they've done that probably between 95 and sort of 98 maybe.
Cool. Ric Flair's kicking about as well at this time.
Yeah, good old Rick. Only a lot of that's what I'm talking about. I mean, it was quite a pretty full roster that you had at this time, without a doubt. So many people
in a
backstage.
bit of a radical beatdown.
Yeah, so many people backstage interviewing as well. Just goes to show you the depth,
Man, they kind of like the payroll for this must have been insane. This is all like AAA talent, like even in the mid card division.
Yeah.
I was so sad to see that haircut go from Eddie.
Yeah, it's classic Eddie Guerrero. Terry Reynolds there doing the interviewing.
I wouldn't say she's
Heat.
kind of on Renee's level, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, that's